when we upload it. I upload this, I'll try to upload this tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow night. So we'll work, go by 6 o'clock Apple time.
What are we doing?
Are we gonna do the pre-meeting dance?
Is this new rules?
Okay, this, it's 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. This is the Clintonville Area Commission Zoning and Variance Committee. Do I have any objection to the, Ms. Groves and Sharon Groves and Diane Hayford have excused absences. I need to do better about putting that on the record. Do I have any objection to the agenda? So it's approved without objection. The draft minutes from the previous meeting that were circulated with the last act of our outgoing vice chair, Drew Miller.
Do you want me to take notes tonight?
Yes, please. You're still vice chair for one.
Okay,
for
good.
one more
I've already
meeting.
started.
Good. And are there any changes to the draft minutes? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve.
Yes. Do I have a second?
Second.
Just go yes. Vote.
Abstain. I wasn't here.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 So that's 5, and I vote yes as well. 6 yeses, 1 abstain, passes. Let's see, go on to the next. The order of proceedings is we'll let the applicant do a presentation. The commissioner, if she's here, will have a chance to do a report at both the beginning and the end of the public comments, at the very beginning and then after public comment. Then we will do committee questions after the commissioner's reports, public comment, and if you're here to speak, you will get to speak. So please don't interrupt the committee questions. You will get your chance, I promise you. If we're running late for some reason, we might end up limiting those to 2 or 3 minutes. We'll have the applicant gets a response after the public comment. The commissioner gets the final public word, and then we do a motion and committee discussion. So then we vote. Move on to the only item on the variance agenda is BZA 23153, 3070 North High Street. The applicant seeks a variance to reduce the required parking spaces from 44 to the existing 12. You have the floor now. Come up, give your name, and you get to speak.
Sure. Should I come all the way?
Yes, please. Come on, just don't knock over the camera.
So, quick introduction about myself. My name is Abia Kiklu. I'm a graduate from mechanical engineering from Ohio State University, working for an electrical company. And I have a partner with me, Sirak Obasi. He's an accountant, graduate accountant. And a little bit about the business. Its name is King's Lounge. What it is, it's a hookah lounge, which is very similar to a cigar lounge. So the intention is to have a very safe environment, healthy environment for a diverse community. So for college students, which is also campuses nearby, where they can come in and have a study session. For local customers to come in and spend on their local businesses, as well as for tourists to come in and explore the area. So currently we have 12 parking spaces, and based on the zoning code, it's way below where we have, it's 44. So we humbly request for variance to conduct our business.
Yeah. Is that all you want to say right now?
I can speak a little bit about what we've done so far. We also conducted a public parking study for the zoning code. There is on-street parkings from Weather all the way to East California. Our peak hours are normally in the after hour, which is normally 5-6 p.m. People coming after school, after work. So using the streets parking will be very, we won't be taking other people's space per se versus people doing working hours. That would affect the neighbors. I spoke with my neighbors from the apartment complex all the way to McDonald's, introduce myself, and I also basically had the communication with them as well as the daycare. I also have some shared parkings that I'm proposing, which with some of them I haven't approved. So if for some reason we need extra parkings, if we have over 50, 80, 100 people coming in, we have an options where they can park not only on the streets, if the streets are full, they may be able to park on the shared parking we propose.
Thank you. Good, there's no commissioner, the commissioner for the district isn't here, so we'll move on to committee questions. Do you have questions from the committee?
I have a question. Thanks for coming tonight. Just curious, have you operated this type of business before?
Yes, so I wasn't the owner, but I was working as a worker. Myself and Sirat work on the east side. Hookah Lounge is mostly, it's kind of originate from this in the Middle East area. So we've had it in our even in our community for quite some time. As per business, yes, I've worked with the Hookah Lounge called Bermuda on all of the James in Eastbrook Street.
Okay. I would assume that you would have a good understanding of the amount of business you'll generate and when those peak hours would be. And,
Yes.
How much parking space do you think you would require?
Yes, so I've also been in several Hookah Lounges, there are a couple of them in the high streets, as well as all the way to Fifth Avenue. I've been going there since I was in college. I know when they normally are, peak hours are, how many people normally comes. Most of them are carpooling, actually, including myself. When we go to Hookah Lounge, normally go to group, so that carpooling also helps with the parking. And that's one of the reasons that I wasn't fully kind of aware that we needed variance, because as I've seen a lot of lounges, they do not have enough parking spaces per the requirement code they have. Some of them might be grandfathered, but some of the new ones that I've noticed, they didn't have a parking space. So I figured I wouldn't have that problem or that this variance needed. So, but yeah, as far as the operation wise, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and yes, thanks again for coming. What is the full capacity of the facility?
So based on the site plan, we have a seat that is, we anticipate to have up to 54 seats, a table as well as a couch. But just like as in, just like at the restaurant dining, normally when people come in, they don't normally use the whole table. Even this set up for 4 people, maybe 2 people can use it. So to answer your question, it's 54 seats available. I believe the full capacity on the site plan might be 99, from what I noticed. But again, that's pretty rare for Hookah Lounge. Again, the environment is normally for the ones like a bar where people very packed. It's more of just a spread out cozy environment.
So what you're saying is that fire department established capacity is 99.
That is what's indicated on that.
That's it. And in your research with neighbors, it sounds like you went and spoke to your adjacent businesses. Have you gone down the residential streets, acting near, near to the corner to assess their opinions?
So I haven't gone through. So the way I went through the neighbors is first I had to go within the 200 feet of my my environment, and on the parking study, I actually went further than what my 200 feet was. For example, east to Weaver, west to Weaver, East California are out at 200. It's kind of bold. So I didn't get a chance to talk to them, but I did talk to, like I said, all the way to the animal center, parking the daycare, as well as the apartment complexes.
And are there parking spots in front of those residences that in probability will be parked in front of first before they start going down High Street?
You mean on whether it's on the regional,
The-
or on the actual high street?
The streets that come in perpendicular.
So depends on the time zone that I went. For example, part of my parking study was going morning, afternoon, and night, one weekday, one weekend. I believe in some of those days, I can't recall the exact time, but I believe on night, on weekdays, the East California are a bit more compacted than the other ones. But there was some spaces available even on those hours for people to park.
If you say spaces are available, how many residential units did you go down the street for that study?
So it wasn't, I don't look for the unit specifically, so what I was given to study for the parking was just a general circle kind of radius within the space that I have. And I believe from the high street all the way to California was close to 5,000 feet. And then again, I use Google Earth to get that approximating, but I didn't count the units per se on this area.
I can show you the map.
On the site plan, I don't see any indication of where you may or may not have a dumpster for the site, or do you have plans for that?
So per se, the code, we don't require a dumpster, maybe from the public codes, but in the previous businesses, there was a dumpster on the northeast of that place. Maybe Sam could clarify more on the actual exact spot where it was located, but that shouldn't affect, I don't think that would.
You don't anticipate that would reduce the parking any further than you're already asking for most spaces?
I don't believe so, but I can confirm with my owner.
Thank you.
Is that a question? You said 99, the fire department says 99 capacity. Does that include the storage room? Does that include every square foot of the building?
So my PE would answer that very consistently, but he's not here today. But my understanding is, I think it does not include that storage. So the city requires us to do parking spots throughout the building, one space per 75 square foot. But unfortunately, we can't use the storage area, so I believe that's only for 21. I can't tell, but I think the 21,000, the first 2 spaces of that area.
Did you go and check to see how many, I meant to go in person, how many spaces the cigar lounge operates with?
Unfortunately, I haven't checked it.
Okay.
So,
That, are you speaking of the one at
Longview.
Longview? I don't believe they have any parking. Most of the parking I see for that business happens to be on the street.
I think they do have, I'm just looking at that.
There are a couple
There's
of
a lot
spots out back,
behind.
but it's very small. It
Yeah.
might fit 1 or 2 vehicles in that lot behind it.
Any other questions from the committee before we go to, okay? If you can sit down, you can sit down, and at the end of the public comment, we'll give you a chance to respond. So just take notes, then we'll,
Okay. Thank you.
I did have just a general question to the property owner here. Do you know?
Yes, same would be the problem.
I just had a question for the property owner, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry.
How long has the property been vacant?
How long?
Has it been vacant since the last?
About a year. We had several potential leases, but it just didn't work out after, the potential tenant worked out financially, they couldn't get it, and then also there's somebody wants to buy it and we don't want to sell it. So basically that didn't work out. So that's what that is. But we've been there, but then now, we have, actually, we have worked with Mr. Kiplu for a few months. So every time people come in, they always want to check this and check everything else. So the different, depending on the business they are in. So, and also depending on how much remodeling they wanted to do. So that's why it takes a while. It's like every time you have a potential tenant coming in, it'll take about at least 4 or 5 months to work that out. And sometimes it worked out, sometimes it didn't. In this case, we worked out with Mr. Kiplu. So he's, as a matter of fact, he's officially have a official lease today. But then it was signed at least 2 months ago. So that's the reason. But of course, he has to work out with the CDC and also the Columbus zoning, all that stuff. We have worked with the zoning before, before he came. We've been in Clintonville for almost 40 years. I mean, we just moved out to the east side, that's all, because we just needed more space. So now, as far as the, if I may, usually we have 6 cubic yard dumpster in the back there, and there's never had a problem with blocking because it actually is off the side, so that's not a problem with that. And I think he only needs a 4 cubic yard, which is smaller than a small car, a compact car. So for his operation, and as far as parking spaces concerned, we never had a problem because I always have customer coming in and out. And now in front of the building, there's 3 parking spaces. As far so you guys all know that Clintonville, nobody has in Clintonville has enough parking spaces. So that's why the city has designated a lot of parking spaces along High Street on both sides. In front of this building, our building, there's 3 parkings. The one next to us is 1, and the one in front of the daycare center, there's 5. And across the McDonald's, there's 2 on the side, and then the building next to the used car sale, they have 2 parking spaces. So, and then of course along Weber Road, there's about at least 5 or 6 parking spaces all along Weber Road. And even next to a McDonald's at California, you can park at least 10 cars back over there on both sides. So parking shouldn't be a problem. As far as you know that even on the shopping center, the restaurants on High Street, close by Oakland Park, Cook Road, all these restaurant people are parked all along High Street. So basically that's the thing.
Thank you very.
Yeah. So that's my comment.
I actually have a question.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, quickly. So you're saying you never had any parking issues when your business was there?
Well, we never had any problem with the parking. No.
And,
I mean, we have trucks coming in too. So.
And you may not. What was the capacity of your business when you were operating it?
What is the what now?
Capacity designated by the fire department. So any facility, the fire department will come in and say max occupancy 20 people, 50 people, 30 people, whatever they think that type of business will accommodate maximally.
Well, we are we're the grocery store.
Okay.
So it's a different occupancy, capacity than one Mr. Kiplu operate as a, table service type of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, now it's public comment. Yes, sir. Just give your name and the street you live on, and try to, take a few minutes at least.
Try to be brief.
Yes.
George Glazier, 10 East Weber Road, resident of Terraces on Walhalla condominiums. First, I want to say thank you to both the applicants who came and met with the owners of the condominiums several weeks ago. Had a great open exchange. Here are my concerns. This will be the third parking variance that you have granted in a very small area. We're talking about Brewster's Bar, the high-rise that is probably in some state of limbo across the street, and now this one. The parking, as you go, their parking, like the Four Cs, is off of High Street, and then there's two ways to go in a very narrow alley. It's a two-way alley that two cars can't fit in. One way is to go up High Street and go up a rise. The other one is to turn onto Walhalla, left. Walhalla is really a walking road. If it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, mothers with baby carriages, bikers, walkers, it's a lot of foot traffic. Our concerns are really about hookah bars do not have to close until 4 a.m. We have a bar on one side, closes at 2 a.m. A drive-through McDonald's 24 hours a day. Both those were there when the condominiums were built. This is a little different. This is people who come, park, and stay. 4 a.m. is very different than 2. There's nothing that, unless you put it in the variance, would prevent them from doing outdoor music. There's nothing that I can see that would prevent some outdoor seating, although there really isn't much. They have said they will not do that. But I'm looking at this going, there are 2 hookah bars within a 3-block walk. This will be a third. I don't see this as a great benefit to the area. And I don't think many of us were persuaded that this would not be better located someplace else, particularly where you didn't have 2 other hookah bars within a short walk.
Thank you. Just, again, this variance would have nothing to do, wouldn't prohibit him from putting speakers outside, but if they set up a patio, that square footage that the city counts towards parking, so that if it required them to have another parking spot, if it pushed them over the limit, then all of a sudden they would have to come back to get a new parking variance. They put any significant outdoor parking. But that's at least what the city's trained us. But yeah.
Okay, my name is Mark Kautzman. I'm also a resident of the Terraces and Walhalla condominium. In fact, I'm on the board. While I have to echo some of George's concerns, I want to particularly address a couple issues. One, just to give you an idea of why we're concerned about noise, the distance between the building and our building is the distance from that wall to that wall. So if we're talking about any kind of loud noise, I don't want to be sleeping next to it at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, whatever. We have enough trouble with roosters. But in terms particularly of the parking, there's one thing I don't think the proposed the tenants have considered, that under Ohio law, they're going to have at least 1 dedicated handicap parking space, if not 2. And that's not been in their planning. So they're not talking about having 12 spaces, they're talking about 11. And I have to bring up the history of this commission with the variance that was granted to Brewster's. So that was made conditional upon them having 1 handicap parking space. Right after the variance was granted and they finished building their patio, yes, they took 1 of their 4 parking spaces, 2 of their 4 parking spaces and made it a handicap spot. That lasted about a month and a half before they started letting anyone park in it, 2 cars. And they even went so far as to take down the handicap-only parking sign. So, in the last year, they haven't, they basically just ignored the legal requirement to have a handicap parking space. While we're concerned about the noise, we're also concerned about the way the parking would occur. The parking would be primarily along the south side of this building. Between the south side of their building and our garage entrances are a private alley, which is our access to our parking garages. Then there's a small retaining wall made only of stacked rocks, because there's a difference in height of maybe about this much between our access alley to our parking garages and their parking lot. And what has happened with some frequency over the years with the grocery store there, people backing out of the parking garage back up a little bit too far, knock down that rock retaining wall, and we have to build it back up again. So that's pretty much all I have to say at this point.
Thank you.
I have to object to.
But no, I'll, at the end, I will let you with the applicant, and we'll talk if everyone's done, but everyone, public comment first, and then it goes back to the applicant's team. And yes, Commissioner Nutter.
Greg Nutter, West North Broadway. I just had a concern, or basically a point of clarification. So when Seven Seas was there, did they have to have so many parking spaces, or is it because we have to have 44 because it's a lounge restaurant area?
It's because it had the change in use triggered, the change of it in more intensive use triggered the parking requirement. My guess is they were grandfathered.
Okay, and then my other question was, you mentioned, mentioned that they got approval for extra parking. I just want to know what the reception was from the daycare next door.
I believe there were some discussions, and one thing I've learned is I don't say what I think, what someone else told me that someone else said. I've learned from experience not to do that. I can't say that they were notified and they haven't complained. They haven't submitted something either way. The animal hospital across the street did submit a letter of support.
He said he mentioned that he went to the neighbors. I just want to know.
No, but when it's his turn to talk, I'll let him explain what he's heard. But
that's my question. So.
Put that on your list of things to say. Did anyone else hear public comment?
Well, I can address the fact that the Terraces Mulholland condominium, we have decided we are not issuing a letter of support.
Okay. No, yes, I never imply a letter of support.
No, I know, but I just want to clarify that.
Okay, now, yeah. Do you want to let Mr. Law speak and then you take your turn?
Sure.
So you wanted to say something?
You're talking to me?
Yes. Is your name Mr.
No,
Law?
I'm just objecting to this gentleman's comment about the retaining wall. First of all, they never built a retaining wall, so-called wall. Okay, it's because they geographically, they just, have a lower, level, of the terrain. So that's not a wall. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times their driver is not going into the parking space that they have, but that they are parked on our side. As a matter of fact, a lot of the visitors or even vendors that going into the condominium for service park into our parking spaces. But then, on the as far as friendly labor, so basically we tolerate and allow them to do the same thing because it's just courtesy. As neighbor to neighbor, we have to work with each other. So to say that we knock out some of the customer knock out their retaining wall, that's a bogus, I think. So I just have to object to what
we've heard from you, we've heard from him, and thank you.
Right.
Okay. And now you get the floor again. How would you like us to address you?
Either way, my first name is Abio, last name is Kiflu, so
Mr. Kiflu. That's it.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for sharing your concern, and I will try to address it as best as I can. So first, the hookah lounge normally around the Columbus, they normally open between either in the morning up to 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and some of them 4 a.m. And as of now, I haven't correlated with the city exactly what time they will give me, but generally, since it's a restaurant slash hookah lounge, it will be at least until 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock is the one time I'm sure about. The 4 o'clock, the reason he mentioned it was because during the meeting, I want to be as transparent as possible, and I try to give them the worst outcome, and that would be if there is any event we conducted and we were approved by the city, anything like that. There may be a time when it's going to be up until 4 a.m. And one thing I mentioned during the meeting was anytime after 2 a.m., we're surrounded by apartments and stuff like that, so we'll be considered enough to make sure the noise is within the limit. Again, that 4 a.m. is going to be very rare. It's going to be 2 to 30 is going to be the maximum, and it's going to be the same time as the roosters. And one thing I want to mention is, more generally in hookah lounge, people don't tend to stay longer, maybe 1 hour or more. After smoking for an hour, their lungs can get a little tired, so normally they tend to leave. And maximum an hour and a half, most of them they get to leave. So customers are always in and out, and that will avoid any of foot traffic or parking issues that we have. And if needed, we will provide also some proof for anything if it's out of control, which it won't be. Again, I'm talking like the worst case, but we will be aware of the neighbors whenever we play music. And as I mentioned before, we won't have any patio. Even if we wish to, there is no space in this building. We're listening, so we cannot create any of those kind of patio. And there won't be any outside music. It doesn't help us in any kind of way, the hookah lounge, to have an outside music. And I can't speak on behalf of the bars next to you. Whatever the agreement they have, if they change it, but at least for myself, I won't do anything that is go against the promise that we have to get this variance, and have no reason to, if it affects my business. The handicap parking space, sir, that's a good point. I have to speak with my PE. Unfortunately, he's not here, but that's a great point. I'll discuss with him, and if we need to add more, we will be, and I will then we may decrease one parking space. But that's something I have to discuss with him to see that. As far as the wall that you mentioned that people may back up and hit the road. There's no wall. There's no wall. Hopefully Mr. Lowe have addressed it, but something that I recommend during the meeting was, as a tenant, it's not my place to involve in that between landowners and landowners, but something I suggest was that area does not have any lighting system. Like, I was thinking to have some kind of, even a solar power kind of points. It's like a Christmas thing, so people can actually see it. Because right now at night, it's not noticeable. It's a very short, maybe a couple inches high, so that's something they can easily kind of come to agreement to help the customers. As for the neighbors, I did talk to the daycare, myself and Israel. So one of the things that we asked her was to, for parking, shared parking, but the main thing was to make sure if she is okay without us having a business. And she verbally approved it. At least she was fine with us. She didn't have any concerns with us conducting that business. Even though my goal was to talk to her about the parking variance. One thing she was a little bit concerned was for us to have to use that parking space she has during the operation hours, which is going to be from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. And as I mentioned, our operation hours is going to be after hour normally, and we only use the shared parking after we exhaust all of our options, which is the off-street parking and the on-street parking that are available. I think I addressed all the questions.
Thank you.
No, you can sit down. It's very, if whatever accessible responsibilities there are, we don't change that. So if the city decides that they need to convert 2 of those, then they'll have to come back to us. Probably, but I also know that sometimes if you don't change it, if they're not changing the parking configuration, maybe we didn't trigger. But ADA requirements, the city keeps telling us, are something we don't get to decide. Sometimes we push folks, please take an extra variance so you can get an ADA spot there, and that's what happened with the bar. We said, please, we'd rather give up more, but I think whatever the requirements are, they're stuck with it, and if they have to give up 2 spaces for their parking space to do that, then they're probably gonna have to come back to us again to go down to 10. But that's, I just wanted to clarify that, since that's a question that.
I will say that per the site plan that was submitted, there is a handicap space allotted. And with that space, there are a total of 12. So there are 12 spaces on the site plan, including that ADA space.
Well, do we have questions from the committee? No, now it's back, there's no commissioner report, so it's, do I have a motion to approve, and then we can have discussion?
Motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's on the floor for discussion.
I don't have the site plan in front of me, I can't pull it up. It's on crack there.
Its site plan does indicate there's a back rack at the front corner of the building, yes.
Living in that area, the parking on North High Street is totally like not, I mean, many people don't use it. Yeah, I don't know any time I've seen anyone park in front of the old funeral home, now the play center, stuff like that. I don't think I see anyone ever parking in front of McDonald's. I mean, it's right, you know, you go up to North Star, stuff like that, where parking is on the street, there are cars there, you know, so. I don't know if there's really a hardship here in terms of not granting this.
Hardship in terms of not granting.
What is?
Yeah, I just wanted, and I think you said hardship, but not a hardship. It's a hardship.
I'm just gonna take it back.
Take it back. All right.
I'm just gonna strike off that.
Yeah.
I think granting parking reduction would not harm the immediate area.
Yeah.
Look, again, I think that whatever business would come into this site, we're looking at some form of parking reduction required, no matter what comes into this site. So if it's not this business, it's going to be another one coming in and requesting the same thing.
And this use is the same as the restaurant, right?
Yeah, so this variance could apply when they leave in 5, if the city ultimately grants the variance and they stay for the full 5 years, it could be a different kind of restaurant. So deciding that we like hookah lounge or we don't like hookah lounge, we need to think this is a restaurant we could love, or 5 years from now, it could be a restaurant we love, it could be a restaurant none of us want to go near.
It's not a huge deal.
Yeah, strictly, I mean, it's fairly onerous, just to echo, it's a fairly sort of onerous parking requirement regardless. Whatever business comes there would be here for this exact reason, so.
Yeah, so since real estate is for perpetuity, which is one of the reasons we go through this process, it means that while this could work out for you in the neighborhood, we're considering approval for this process, not just based upon your business, but based upon similar businesses that would have the opportunity to occupy the building going forward. I always like to encourage some conversation. I mean, the retaining wall issue is an issue. We don't get involved in what your budget is for renovation, but given your major, you're aware that the safer form of retaining wall would be a reinforced concrete or at least masonry retaining wall that would preclude, at least to some extent, the failures that seem to happen on a somewhat regular basis that these gentlemen are discussing. That said, that's not what we're adjudicating here. We're talking about the parking, and, but I would encourage that conversation between you and them if the opportunity to go forward takes place. I think it's a tough one, not just because, and I guess a couple things. One, you guys mentioned the fact that, you know, you got 2 hookah bars in walking distance, why do you need another one? I don't know if you noticed, but like a lot of times if there's a fast food place, there's a bunch of them together. You go to North High, you got a Wendy's, you got a Taco Bell, you got an Arby's. That's an economics business model that tends to work positively for businesses. So that's also not what we consider. I just thought I'd share that with you. Yeah, the going forward is the biggest thing in my mind that I'm weighing. I suspect that the hookah bar probably doesn't fill up, even though the parking says 44. Odds of 44 at a given moment is, you know, maybe it's 15. I don't know. But I can appreciate the challenge felt by the neighbors, which is why I raised the question about if the neighbors had, requested approval or at least some discussion. I think, anyway, I'm still thinking so.
I want to correct that. If I said, if it turned out that they want to stick with this site plan and it turns out that one accessible space doesn't count towards the 12, what the city will do is they'll contact the commission chair, and the commission chair, after consulting with me and the commissioner for the district, will say either we knew that this was the site plan, it's okay, you don't need to send it back to us for down to 11 instead of down to 12, or yes, it do, and that would be in the end, I think Chair Bolton's call in the end. But I can't imagine a chair saying that over the objection, over anyone else's objection. I want to be careful. No, actually, that in the past that hasn't happened.
I'm just thinking out loud, if the use did change from a hookah bar to a restaurant, they would need to get a dumpster, which would take away a parking space. You would need to get a liquor license. So there's quite a few hoops to jump to transition from hookah to a full-service restaurant.
Well, they wouldn't have to get a liquor's license if they don't serve liquor. Some restaurants don't.
They would have to get a dumpster, probably.
They would have to have a dumpster.
But they would have to get to the dumpster, so
Yes.
they would have to come back for a one-spot parking reduction, because the dumpster would take up the spot. So, good call.
I guess my question is, we're being asked to consider a parking reduction, not the use of the structure, correct?
Correct. We're the parking reduction given the new use of the structure. The use complies with existing zoning law.
But is our opinions on the use of them using it as a hookah bar valid if we're just being asked to consider parking?
I think the answer for the city is, which I say, no, we shouldn't, but we should think about any future restaurant that might be there, how that would affect the parking. But I think our individual views on, at least when I vote, my individual views on whether I like the place coming in, I try not to love that. I mean, if we did that, I don't think Chick-fil-A would have gotten 0 votes. or maybe only 1 or 2, I don't know. But Chick-fil-A would not have gotten your unanimous approval if it were a referendum on what people thought of the company.
I just think it would be hard for any business to be successful unless we're willing to speak to the parking issue. And it's on a major transit corridor.
Right, but purview isn't, specific business. We're talking about, parking for the type of business that it's zoned for.
Any other comment?
What is the current zoning?
This is C4, and the only reason this parking variance is triggered, C4 includes both restaurant use and the grocery store use. So they're not changing, the reasoning of this variance is because restaurant use requires more parking than a grocery store would. So we're not. But, well, I just have one comment when he told me that the owner of the daycare, that he didn't know, when he started the owner of the daycare, he didn't know that it used to be a funeral home. And I said, she's got to be very happy that someone no longer thought of that building as a former funeral home. So that you may have endeared yourself to her just by not knowing that. I'll give any thoughts I have. When we vote. Are we ready to vote? Check it, yes, no, abstain, get that a better. Everyone ready to vote? You can give an explanation. The commissioners are here, so at least several of the commissioners are here. 3 commissioners are here. So they'll hear what you say.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
And I'm gonna vote yes as well. I think anyone will need, my guess is even the Four Seasons would have, if they moved it now, would need a variance. My biggest data points is the cigar lounge down the street, which I haven't heard anyone say the cigar lounge is killing everyone. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but we did get support from at least we did get support from the people across the street, and I appreciate the concerns of, and if this were gonna be a patio outside, I think it might be a different view, but we're not talking about a patio here, so I vote yes as well, and I can't remember whether I already ticked myself, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 6 yes and 1 abstain, approved. Then it goes to the commission in 13 minutes. Now, we do have a couple more things of committee business, and I'm sorry for the rest of you. We do have 2 new committee members coming on beginning next time. I linked in our minutes, in the agenda, our committee rules. One of the things we need to do is look at those committee rules and see if we want to propose any changes to the commission. So I'd appreciate you take a look over them. I already saw at least some style things I'd like to change. You see things in there that you think should be clarified or can be done better, don't send them individually to me, and I'll accumulate them and we can talk about it in an open meeting. I won't send them back out until we have the discussion at the meeting to avoid open meeting issues. And also, please think about whether you're willing to serve as vice chair. Our vice chair is becoming a commissioner, and that's critical because if for some reason, if I'm the one who comes down with the fever on the day of the meeting, we need someone to be able to run it. And if one thing, I know what the neighbor of one of my department head has talked about trying to get a variance, and I don't want to sit on my department heads. I don't want to have anything to do with that decision. So those are the kind of things I need to be able to get off, and we need to have a vice chair so I can pay attention to the meeting and not have to worry about taking minutes as we go along. So if you're willing to serve that, please consider that and let me know. Thank you very much, Connor, for your service, and I look forward to seeing you volunteer in other ways in the future. And I appreciate 12 months of you being here time and time in, for even when there's no audience, or even when we're deciding a demo permit in front of no one except the camera. I appreciate your time and your expertise. Unless I hear any objections, announce the next meeting of the area commission will be in February 1st at 7 p.m. in 12 minutes. The wet stove right here. The next meeting of our committee will be February 28th, 7 p.m. at Clinton Heights Lutheran Church. As of now, it looks like Columbia Gas will be on the agenda then. I will ask to see if we can get the sanctuary so we can have adequate space for that. So there's an objection, I'll adjourn the meeting at 6:58.
I have one.
Oh, 6:48, no, there is, I'll take that as an objection.
It's not enough.
I'll take that objection to adjourning.
It may be, yes. You said, that the zoning thing wouldn't kill anybody, and I just wanted to state that since it is a hookah bar, and since it has been deemed that tobacco is deadly, that is a potential consequence, but we could just leave that out of minutes.
I don't remember using that word. If I did, I didn't mean it, I apologize, that does go, that's unnecessary for this. So with that,
I'm done.
so it's now adjourning at 6:50, so we can, thank you everyone, I'm gonna turn off the camera in a minute, and we'll switch places with the commission.